Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Dan Slott, surfing his way all over the way to YouTube. Oh, I love it. And we want to talk about the end of Silver Surfer. This is very serious for me, okay, Dan? I don't think you understand. I was severely upset, and I'm going to probably stay upset for a while.
Oh, but we gave spoilers. If you haven't read it, we gave her the best possible out.
You did.
She lived a full life. She was happy. She had no regrets. She made it well into those, into her 90s.
Oh my god!
She lived the life fantastic with Norrin. It was beautiful, and then he had the perfect tribute. I know it was a gut punch because we did 26, 27 stories of happy, zany, wacky, and then we did three issues in a row of dealing with grief.
Yes. It was, a gut punch is not, you're under describing it. That was mean. And it was mean.
It
was needed. Because, honestly, I couldn't, I have to just say this, I couldn't imagine a better ending to it. I really can't. Because it, honestly, you left it in such a good way, because it ended an era gracefully, and it was so bittersweet, and that's probably why I cried so much. But you also left it open for other people to come after you.
No, Dawn is gone. She is completely and utterly gone.
No, Dawn is gone.
Yes.
But the Silver Surfer is still there.
He still soars the cosmic skyways.
But you created Dawn.
Well, co-created with Mike and Laura, and that was an important thing for us. That we kind of at one point we thought we might have ended at issue 12.
Really?
And we were kind of like, oh no, because we realized if we ended at 12, inevitably someone was going to use Surfer again.
Right.
And if they use Surfer again, then they had to do something with Dawn. And they were either going, the obvious choices are you bring her back home and you go on to the next thing. And then that means their love really kind of didn't matter. He'll go to girl number 5.
I don't like that. Yeah, I agree.
We didn't like that. So he either brings her back to Earth, or they break up somehow, which didn't like, or they fridge her, which would motivate the Surfer to do something. That would be the most obvious thing, would be to kill her. And from Mike and my point of view, she's like a daughter. She's like this character we care about and invested all this time and heart and love and passion into. And the idea of someone making her motivating the Surfer by killing her, it's such an obvious beat that we wanted to make sure that we told the story that completely put a bow around all of the Surfer, the whole run, and left her in a good place. Told her story as full as you can and took her off the table, so that was it. That's the story of Don Greenwood.
So do you consider this whole Silver Surfer run to really be the Don Greenwood run?
No, it's the Surfer and Dawn run.
Okay.
The two, it's the story of their relationship.
Right.
It's not just her story or his story. It's the two of them together.
Okay.
As the Never Queen would tell you, when the two of them are together, anything is possible.
I love the Never Queen, by the way.
Isn't she fun? For suffering the forever sorrow because she knows all the billions and endless, countless, infinite possibilities that never come to pass. when the one thing does happen, every other possibility goes away, and so it's an infinite amount of sorrow. That's why she's the Never Queen. She all those nevers that never will. She is aware of them. Oh, but luckily she has her love, eternity. We have a secret. Yeah, that we know that if you read your old Quasars, one of the things that Mark Grunwald did, and Mark loved explaining the entire universe, and you saw that there was a character like Eternity was he made the living embodiment of all of space. And you found out that like when you turn Eternity over, there's another being on his side who is female, and she was Infinity.
Right.
And she was like all of time. So she was the time being. Eternity, which is weird because the names are backwards. So Eternity was space and Infinity was time. You're going to find out that the Never Queen, we know what other cosmic entity she is when she turns around. We know how they work together. And we never revealed that. And maybe someday we will.
So her love, Eternity, is not her equal. It's not her other side.
It's her paramour. The two of them, Eternity, and they're paramour. But we've seen stories in the past where Eternity and Infinity are one being. So you're going to find out there is a duality to the Never Queen. There's a duality to possibility. And logically that should work too, because we'll get there. We had. You want to know the stuff we didn't get to?
Oh my god! Wait! Is this stuff that you haven't gotten to? Is this coming?
No. We're both, Mike and I are very happy with the entirety of the run. That we told our 29 stories, 30 if you include the point one. And that's a nice unit. But there's always, coulda, woulda, shouldas. There's always stuff you leave on the floor.
Right.
We had some things we wanted to do we didn't get to. But I think, it's probably for the best that we left stuff on the floor, because it meant the stuff you got was, our best shots. You didn't. There's no issue I feel we could take away. So like stuff that we didn't do, we had a Fire Lord story we wanted to do. We wanted to have a Surfer FF story, but we couldn't. A Surfer Doom story, a Surfer Mole Man Island of Monsters story. We had some things we wanted to do on the way. And on a cosmic level, there was with Galactus. Galactus has 2 ships.
This is crazy. Yeah.
Galactus has that sphere ship he has, but you also see that it goes to this giant Mobius strip giant ship too, where that sphere docks in. And when you think about the centuries the Surfer traveled with Galactus, he wasn't always zooming around. He had downtime, so he had to be in that ship. And we also saw in the first Galactus story that he had a giant robot. Well, not to him. To him, it's a toy. But to us, it's a giant robot that he would send down to, like, tenderize the planet first, like beat up the heroes, and then he wouldn't have to deal with it. And that was called the Punisher. And the Punisher robot, we saw him, like, beat up Ben Grimm in the first ever Galactus story. And we thought, hey, Surfer, when he just had downtime on that giant ship after Galactus had fed and didn't need a planet, he was probably just hanging out with the Punisher robot. They're probably really good buddies. They've probably been hanging out for centuries. So you do a story where he and Dawn, like, stop in, like, the robot equivalent of a bar. And he'd just be, like, sitting there and Surfer would go, hey, it's Punisher robot. And hey, Norton, how's it going? This spot little robot, and he could fly, so he would fly alongside. He would become the 4th team member for a while. So it'd be Surfer, Dawn, and Toomey and that guy, and it was going to be the equivalent of your relationship is going great, and then his college friend comes and won't get off the couch. He was going to be like that third wheel. It was like the Punisher robot. And he would just go, how's it going? Hey, look at that planet. And it was like, it was just going to be this annoying guy. To Dawn, it was going to be like, and she's so nice to everybody that it was going to be like, his friend who won't leave. I wanted to do that so bad. But that could have been the equivalent to, like, if we kept going. That could have been our Poochie. So it's probably that could have been our Punisher robot. Could have been like our cousin Oliver. Could have been the one thing too many. So it's probably good we didn't get to that.
Oh, it sounds it. You know what? I agree.
Hey! If there are certain things, if we had more time, we would have done more with it. Like the story where they separated and they had to get back to each other.
Oh, I want to talk about that, actually. I have a specific question about that. Actually, I want to ask you now, because you brought it up.
Okay.
So I think it's issue 10.
Yep.
That they're separated by time and space, because they both have a mission. Dawn takes it on herself to bring a piece. The major piece of the universe. The Alpha?
The Alphex and the Omegron.
Yeah, so Surfer's bringing the Omegron, and Dawn's taking the Alphex.
Let's just call it Alpha and Omega.
Alpha. Anyway, whatever. What I really loved about that issue was the way it looked, in the sense where it was drawn to bring the Surfer like this. So the universe brings them back like this. And
the universe wants them together.
But my big question to you is, like, when you're talking that story out with Allred, did you say, I want it to look like this? Was this his idea? Was it a combined idea? How did that come about?
No, that was in the plot. There are many times where I would leave things wide open for Mike, usually in the design of aliens and spaceships and worlds and technology, and I'd just be like, give me your best shot. Like, let's see what you got. But with basic plot points and story things that, like a writer, it's usually laid out. But
this was all written in the whole, because it was like that made that issue for me.
If I had more room, if I had one more page, that would have been a double page splash.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was there were certain things where I'm like, there's certain things I had to fight for. Like, there were certain things. You'll notice issue 11. It's 1 page short. That story came in at 19, so I could have an extra page later to play with. And then in issue 13, it's 21 pages, but 1 page is a page we stole from whole cloth, pencils, inks, colored lettering from 13 of the previous volume. We just took the exact page and stuck it in there for the time loop. And that's how, since no one had to be paid for that, we could go to 21 on that issue.
Nice.
And the borrowed page from 19 is why 14 is a page longer, because the budget is tight.
Wow.
If it wasn't for that borrowed page, you wouldn't have had the double page splash of everybody and they're all waving goodbye. That would have been a single page splash. And I wanted that to be a double.
This is amazing to me, because I always think of you as someone who can just have his own way with his pages. But you still have to adhere to a certain I don't know, Marvel prescribed code or something.
Yeah. No, it's like working on a TV show or something. You have a budget.
Yeah.
So we had to. I knew I wanted that shot to be a double page spread in 13 when Dawn closes her eyes and I wanted that because that forces it to be a page turn.
Right.
Because there's no way you can. I didn't just want it for the grandeur of here's Mike drawing everybody. I also wanted to hit you in the heart. With,
Which you did. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Dan.
Her eyes closing, and then you turn the page, and then you turn back. I wouldn't change a thing.
Just 1 second. Okay. I'll find it. It's right here.
That was 13. I think I know all these people were really sad at 14, but to me 13 was the
13 was way sadder. You know what? I cried 13, through both of them. I'm 13, not gonna lie.
I was in tears writing 13. I was
really?
sobbing while I was writing 13. I was I lost it while I was writing that. Especially the bits that got me the most were you never went home. Yeah, we never had a family. You never. I was just like, and
but this also, and this happens.
That right there. Oh, but see, to me, that's not the thing. To me, I lose this when you turn the page, and she goes, "I wouldn't change a thing."
Yeah.
And then and when her image, Mike and Laura nailed it. Her image fades from Toomey, just to let you know.
That's the big. Can we spoiler alert, people?
Yeah.
I'll have to show them, but this is the big thing. And Toomey never again shows an actual reflective image that means that talks back until. And this is another question, a big question I have for you. Is the holograms. The hologram stuff in number 14, the ending. Yes. This confused me, but it actually made me so sad as a big Trekkie. I'm a huge Trekkie.
Oh, you're going to William Riker me?
No. No. But I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to be more like a doctor from Voyager.
Okay. Oh, can you do they count? Do the holograms count?
Do they count? Do they have souls? And I thought that you were trying to state and that the Silver Surfer was trying to make everybody live happily ever after in an afterlife. I didn't get it. I thought, is that their afterlife? I was so confused.
Dawn's gone. Corporeal Dawn is gone.
So what? Why would he have use for making all these holograms and this happily ever after for them all?
Hologram Dawn is just as real as Dawn.
Why though?
But their life, she has all of Dawn's memories up to the point where she's recorded. Mm-hmm. She's the Dawn that danced with Surfer on Incandescent. Our Dawn was knocked out. So from the moment Dawn uses the facilities and gets hologrammed, that hologram has new experiences. She becomes a new being that is like Dawn. There's corporeal Dawn.
So she's a new Dawn.
She's a new Dawn.
Oh, okay.
She's a light form Dawn with her own feelings and emotions. She has all the memories of Dawn up to the point of being recorded.
So does this make? I'm sorry. I'm gonna continue to ask these questions.
No, this is the fun of sci-fi. This is the fun of what does that mean?
Does this make the Silver Surfer kind of an indulgent asshole so that he can come back repeatedly to visit the people that he loves and misses?
No, he creates a light form version of himself.
Yes, yes, he does.
And that's a new being. And that's a being in the world of Incandescent, light forms are more important than corporeal forms. They gave up their corporeal forms. They mulched them.
They live on. All these people live on from the point that they were copied. In
their society, in their belief structure, this is their real self.
Okay.
Or else they never would have mulched their bodies. Corporeal Dawn to them is wrong. From their point of view, from their society. Mm-hmm. So the Dawn of Incandescent, she sees herself as a whole being. And what Surfer
and she asserts herself. She says, I'm Dawn.
I'm Dawn. Yeah.
Yes, she says
And
that several
Surfer's
times.
like Hollow Dawn, like Surfer's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
because he had his time with corporeal Dawn. They lived on Ta. They had a life
Yeah.
for 60 seasons. They lived. This is another being. Even though that Surfer, that Norrin, he has all the memories of even living through the universe, but he's light form Surfer. In Dawn's world, they're equals. There's on their society, they're equals. The way I think of it, Dawn's story is over. But if you want, Surfer, the 2 volumes, the 29 issues, they're always there for you if you want to reread them. Think of Hologram Dawn and everyone on Incandescent as the long box.
So basically, you've done some. This isn't a pipe. It's a pipe that's drawn.
You're greeting me. Yeah, but it's more like they're an echo, and the story always goes on, but it's going on in Incandescent. So it's kind of like whenever you want to relive the story of Silver Surfer and Dawn, you can read the 29 comics. In some way, they're like Surfer's long box. It's the story. It's the story that he loved, and it gets to go on.
I love it. It's so brilliant, and that's why I was crying. Oh my god!
He goes off it, but they're equal beings, and they're going to have a love, and it's an act of kindness. There's a reflection. There's an echo of Dawn, and he leaves her an echo of himself. So even that tiny part is happy. Even that tiny, and somewhere there's another happily ever after. Somewhere with her family, and maybe they'll have a hologram child. Maybe they'll do things, but they're there. And we saw on the hologram world as Toomey said goodbye to that Dawn. Toomey recognized that Dawn as just, the person who had all the memories of the adventures they had.
Right, she did the wink. Toomey did the wink.
To Toomey, that's Dawn. Right. That's a Dawn. It's just as valid a Dawn to Toomey. So even though he hasn't spoken for millennia, he gives her a wink. He likes her.
I love it.
That's his friend.
Oh my god.
It's one of his friends. One of his friends was corporeal Dawn, and one of his friends was light form Dawn. And to him, they're just both as valid. So yeah, you get a wink.
You get a wink.
You get a wink. You're like, ah. And for the rest of us, we all have Dawn. We all have every sun that rises, every daybreak, every species around the universe has one name it's the one word that's common through all
that means
universe.
The same thing everywhere.
On Skrull planet, on Kree-Lar, on everywhere. It's the one word in the universe. It's Dawn, with the exception of the Mobius aliens, because they probably say it in French. they probably say the French word for Dawn,
which I don't even know.
With their space French. And here on Earth, we only say Dawn in the English-speaking parts of the world.
Because, I have a few questions for you still. But I have to turn around and grab you something to show you.
Okay.
From right here. Not going very far. It's right here.
Come with me, and you'll be.
Yeah.
What we got? Oh, Mobius!
I actually have this. I have it in hardcover as well, but something funny, I didn't even know I had it for the longest time. My ex-partner snuck it into one of my boxes.
Ooh.
And I did a big unboxing kind of my short box, of one of my random short boxes, and it came out. And I was like, what the? I didn't know I had this. Because I hadn't looked at it in, I don't know, years.
Have you ever seen the movie Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington? on the submarine.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago.
There's a sequence in there. Back in the day, Quentin Tarantino used to do script doctoring, and there would be Quentin Tarantino scenes that would just randomly show up in different movies because even though he was a fun script doctor, they're so Quentin Tarantino, you can't help but.
Yeah.
And there's a sequence in Crimson Tide where Denzel Washington goes over and two submarine commanders are beating the crap out of each other. And what's the fight? And the fight is one of them says that Kirby Surfer is the only surfer, and the other one is no, Mobius Surfer is the right surfer. And Denzel Washington has to pull him off and tell the other guy, "Don't be stupid." He's like, "Yeah, everyone knows it's Kirby."
Shit.
Which is, everybody gets a surfer, but yeah, it's Kirby.
That's
no, come on, it's Kirby, Buscema, Mobius. Even Mike will say this with me.
You heard it here. It was said here.
No, but it's like Stan Lee. It's like everybody's got Ron Mars. Everybody, it's the Marvel Universe. Everyone gets a chance, but we all know it's Lee and Kirby. We all know it's Kirby. We all know Surfer. No, this has been like a dream project for me. Because
it has to be like you. I mean, I remember the first time we ever talked, and you said like Surfer. This was when Surfer first started, but you were still talking like Spider-Man was your baby, and it always has been. But this was even like almost a decade.
Well, Surfer was Spidey was like my favorite character ever. But Surfer was the first superhero comic I read. Right. My cousin started me on the Galactus trilogy. Was the first ever superhero comics in my hand that I got to read. The first ones I bought were Spider-Man, but my entry point into the Marvel Universe was the Surfer. And
it was the Surfer, not
that was it was those 3 issues of Fantastic Four, the Galactus trilogy. So in my mind,
oh my god,
the first time I met Reed Richards, he was an unshaven guy who was screaming and losing his shit. That's in my mind. That's like my Reed.
That doesn't resemble you in any way, right?
No. He had stubble. He had like Indiana Jones stubble, but he was always like, that's how I met Reed. He was the guy who was freaking out because Galactus was coming. And the way I met the Watcher was he was the guy who interfered. It's like I met everyone the wrong way.
I do like that you brought the Watcher kind of into things, by the way, with the Surfer in this time around, even though he wasn't the Watcher anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally. There's stuff there's stuff you want to do, and there's stuff that it's weird because the Marvel Universe is constantly growing and changing. Mm-hmm. Like I find out, like, oh, you don't get to use the Watcher. Nick Fury is now the Watcher on the moon, and I'm like, okay, how does that work? Or
yay,
or Galactus is now good and made of gold, and I'm like, all right.
Which I thought you handled very well. I wasn't sure what the fuck was going to happen. I'm going to probably bleep that out. But I wasn't sure what was going to happen.
I didn't want to step on Al's toes. Al had these great Galactus Lifebringer stories, and I had to play fair.
I think you did a really amazing job.
Well, the thing I loved about it was it solved. We had so much stuff mapped out. It solved the "Do you kill baby Hitler" problem.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I was like,
if you could kill Hitler, would you go back in time? But my big thing the whole time was, will Dawn and Noor and Rad not exist if they kill Hitler?
But if you're Surfer, you would do this. Because all the planets you would save, it would clean your soul. You would so kill Galen Top. You would kill the one being, even if Dawn is there saying
that moment,
don't do it. But by doing issue 10 and playing with Al's Lifebringer, it made you double the lifespan of the universe, and you would undo that.
It was like undo all the good, which is almost tenfold all the bad, and it's like
it was this gift. So it's like Al gave us this gift. Like when we were doing the first volume, we knew we had to come to a crashing halt and do 3 issues set in Hickman's Secret War. But I was like, okay, I think I know how to do this, because I was always going to do the reveal of the incredulous Zed's mysterious benefactor was always going to be Glorian. I liked the parallel of the golden-skinned herald of the Shaper of Worlds with the silver-skinned, herald of the Devourer of Worlds. I loved that bizarre matchup and the idea that everything Glorian had been doing with Zed and the Never Queen, it was all a secret plan that would eventually allow him to kill his master and free himself. And when you found that out, how could the Surfer not help him? I knew that story was going to happen, and by able to fold it in to Secret Wars, it felt like, oh, this was always the plan. There were so many things we had during the run where we had mapped everything out and seeded it and kept it a secret. Dawn and the red with black dots. We had that.
Oh, that stuff was killing me the whole time. It kept coming up. It kept popping up here and there during issues.
It was there the whole time under everybody's nose.
I know.
From the whole time, and we were just sitting there. I did not let Mike in on the secret of the red and black dots.
Really?
Because I knew.
You're just like, make sure these red and black dots are like there.
Oh, no. I just said, whatever costume he changes her into, it always has to have red and black dots, like a ladybug.
Right.
And the ladybug and bumblebee is the smoke screen. But we knew we always had that. And I knew there was going to be a tease because we were going to get to the scene. We had so much of this mapped out before, any pen went to paper on the actual plots and scripts. We had all this in like the Bible, that we knew they were going to do the story of when Dawn found out Surfer served Galactus and what Galactus was, and the planet of the refugees, and the bit where every refugee, because they know the legacy of the Surfer, goes, spare my world and I will be your herald. And it was going to go around the world in a giant I am Spartacus moment. And then Galactus would laugh and say no. Galactus would say, I have eaten everything unique of your worlds. None of you can be my herald. And Dawn was going to say, you've never eaten Earth. I will be your herald. And that's when Surfer was going to freak out. But we also knew we were going to do a fake out where you think for a moment Dawn's going to become a herald.
Right.
And that's the first time we tease all the dots start becoming Kirby Crackle. So that was going to be the one and only tease that would be there, and you go, oh, they set it up. And as we knew by the time we were doing issue 7 that we were building to the end. And I let Mike in on, here's the whole arc. Here's where everything's going from 7 all the way to the end. And we knew we were either going to end on 12 or we were going to end on 14, which drove Mike crazy because his OCD hated the idea that he doesn't really have OCD, but that part.
No, I'm with him. I would have been.
That volume 1 went from 1 to 15 and volume 2 goes 1 to 14. Kind of, to him, that was like fingernails on a chalkboard. That was like, can't we go to 15? And we're like, we can't. We're either going to 12, and we made a wager with Brewer that if we won the Eisner, could we have 2 issues to wrap up? And he was like, sure, you win the Eisner, you can have 2 more issues. Sure. And then we did. And on some level, we were almost more happy. It's a great honor, and we're very honored to win it. But we were so happy that we got the 2 extra issues, because then that meant we got the Dawn on Taw, and we got Surfer reliving the universe. But we had... I let him in on the black dots at issue 7, and he loved it. And he loved it so much that in issue 7, on Dawn's dress, he made it start Kirby crackling because now he was in on the secret. And the pages came in, and I went, Mike, don't do that. You're going to give it away. You know, like
stop everything now.
So he's like, okay, code
just red, this code red.
Yeah. So that one issue, her whole dress is Kirby crackle, and I was like, Mike, but he's just so infectious, and he's so happy with it. So you actually got 2 hints of the Kirby crackle. There are other things that we had seeded so we always knew we were gonna. Well, I always knew. I didn't tell Brevoort that Surfer was going to live through the universe twice after the adventure on Ta, and that he was going to break his. He was going to go through the universe, and he was not going to, like a watcher, not interfere. But then he wasn't going to be able to control himself with the chance to be back at the Greenwood Inn, and that he was going to be a guest. So in issue 1 of Silver Surfer, when Dawn is giving the tour of the Greenwood Inn,
right?
Did you know this?
No. Oh, I mean, I've read it all, but I don't know what you're going to say.
In issue 1, when Dawn gives the tour, and she's like right near Einstein's Fish, she lists all the famous people who've stayed at the Greenwood Inn.
Right.
And she's like, we've had so many, Princess Grace and Howard Stark and, Nat King Cole. And then she goes, and Norville Rappaport. And then the person on the tour goes, who's Norville Rappaport? She goes, oh, you wouldn't know him. He's not famous. Let's keep moving. And it was like a funny, wacky Dawn bit. But the name is there in issue 1 of the very first Silver Surfer.
Oh my God, I never, because I haven't read those since, they came out. So I never.
In issue 1, you find out there's a guest, Norville Rappaport, in the first issue of the first, because we had it all planned. Well, I had it planned. And when the book was leaving house and Brevoort saw it lettered, and he was reading it again after it already left to the printer, he called me up and he went, Norville Rappaport, Nor in Rad. And I was like, yes. And he's like, you're going to do a time travel thing, aren't you? And he's going to be a guest. I'm like, yeah, we're going to do that. So we'd set that piece in the first issue. So we had Norville Rappaport set up from day 1. We had the red dress with black dots set up at issue 1.
Right.
And in the first story, which runs in the .1 on Planet Nauticus, we set Surfer's one of his expressions right off the bat. So it's like, you read that before issue 1. So where he goes, the universe is infinite and ever expanding, because I knew he was going to say that frequently, because then Mama Hub, the second trip to Euphoria, was going to tell him the secret of the universe, of a parent's love for a child and a child's love for a parent, and the nature of time and the nature of space, and would all lead up to one day you'll be lucky to find someone who is your time and your space, and they will be your universe. But the first part of that is the universe is infinite and never expanding. And we set that, boom, in the first story, because I knew we were going to get there, and I already had that worked out. So that was there. Her name, Dawn, being there and being the first light in the universe. All the pieces were there with the first story. Everything was meticulously.
That's why you were like, the first time, remember, we got to do an interview over Skype, and you were like, you can't see my whiteboard. You can't see my whiteboard. Now I understand it all.
Oh, no, there was things on the whiteboard from day 1 that said, the universe is infinite, ever expanding. It had all the stuff worked out, the Kirby crackle, everything. But the challenge was, the gauntlet that we threw down in issue 1 is the motivator picks the person that's the most important person in the universe for you. And that meant that was a challenge. That meant we had to do a slow burn, and we had to earn the romance. We had to, everyone knows how much I love Doctor Who. And everyone knows that, when I pitched it, it's a companion with the Silver Surfer. But there's so much more in there. Like, we were doing Hitchhiker's Guide riffs. We were doing,
yes, of
Star
course.
Trek Next Gen riffs, Star Trek Classic riffs. We were
Love
doing
it.
all. We were going all over the place. Like, Euphoria is surely the planet. There's so many things that are, classic science fiction, both British and American. Because I grew up in England as a teenager, so there's British sci-fi, everything that's kind of even some 2000 AD stuff thrown in there. It's a big melting pot of every Red Dwarf, everything Tom and I kind of care about, and that we dragged Mike into. So it's there. Yes, there's that, but we also were building our own thing, and what Tom kept saying was, people don't realize what we're really doing.
Right.
That's all a smokescreen. What we're really doing is we're tricking everyone into reading a romance comic.
It really is. It's 100% romance. Maybe I'm the only one who ever caught on to that, because the whole time I'm getting teary-eyed the whole time. I'm sorry, Dan.
We baked a romance cake and we hit it with Doctor Who and Kirby frosting. And what you got was romance the whole time, and you didn't know it. We were really just tricking you into watching a soap opera, So that was.
I don't feel tricked at all. I feel fully fulfilled in that soap opera. Thank you very much.
But it was scary, because it meant, like, if we got to certain stories and we hadn't earned the romance, it all would have fallen apart. And that's so much of that is Mike Allred, of just making you care about not just Dawn and not just Norrin, but Norrin and Dawn. Mike and I.
So much of that comes from, for me, so much of that comes from all you guys built into the extra characters. Because if it's just Norrin and Dawn, it's just Norrin and Dawn. All these other characters, especially her family being kind of odd, but in the fact that she was, stationed in one place most of her life, kind of looking after her father. By the way, the father scene pretty much killed me. You're speaking to a ghost now. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, wait, is it this issue with the last page? Yeah. That was the most evil last page we've ever done. That was just.
You're a horrible person.
Ugh.
But just because of, like, my personal own life, it really spoke to me a lot. So it did make me cry. Just letting you know. There were certain things about the issues that are less in your face that I wanted to ask you about. Like, for instance, the fact that Dawn's sister Eve, when she finally gives birth to her kid, which I love that she's pregnant through a whole bunch of it, She's like, oh, I'm a bumblebee, literally a bumblebee, carrying all this stuff. The fun of it
was, if the book had gone on longer, we would have paced it out longer of not her pregnancy, but every time Dawn comes home, life has moved without her.
Yes.
That there's a cost for going off into space.
For her adventures.
Having the adventures. Her whole life she stayed home, and she had this wonderful, place.
Mm-hmm.
And Eve was the one who ran off, and Eve had these adventures, and now she gets to have the adventures, and you learn the cost is you go away and you missed your sister's wedding.
Which is explained in the end when they have the sister-to-sister talk. But what I found, actually, as a feminist and, a woman who cares about such things like body image, I always loved the fact that after Eve had her baby, she wasn't portrayed as a normally skinny, fit girl. She still looked like she just had a baby.
That's Mike Allred.
I know. It's amazing. And I was like, oh my God. I think that's the very first time anyone in comics has had a baby
and didn't.
looked like they just had a baby.
Yeah. There is a benefit for us to be off in our own corner and doing our own thing. It gave us certain freedoms that you normally don't get in a book.
Right.
Sue Richards has that baby. Everyone else wants to draw Invisible Woman in 12 other books.
Right.
Yeah, so I can't tell you the number of times in Spider-Man where I've introduced a female character and I've specifically said I want her to have a non-traditional body type.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be drawn that way for one issue. And then the character will go into other issues, and every artist will slowly draw her different and different and different until she's a standard female body type.
Oh, the standard ideal female body type.
I've over and over again.
Ideal being the ideal word.
I can't tell tales out of school, or I'd mention like, I've turned in plots where this character is heavy set, and they're drawn like a knockout.
Right.
Yeah. So, but Mike cares about that, and we were to me, the greatest gifts of working on this isn't just working on one of my favorite characters. It's that Marvel gave us the freedom to be one creative team, and it was me and Mike and Laura all the way through, and that's
honestly, I don't think this would be the comic it is without Laura. She's got to be the most amazing colorist ever. Like, she's just
one of the things
blows my mind. The colors are amazing.
One of the things I love about the whole Surfer run is unless it's very specific to the story, like issue 7 where they go into a space where there's no stars and it's black.
Mm-hmm.
In Laura Allred's space, it's never black. It's the skies are red, or they're pink, or they're yellow, or you're in parts of space where it's blue. The space had color, and it seeps into the world and the ethos of our Surfer.
I want to talk to her so badly sometime for an interview, because as a colorist, she boggles my mind. She's just fabulous.
It's been a joy to work with. I feel like an honorary Allred. That it's just to be in the mix. They're just so giving, and they're so nice, and they're so positive about everything. It's hard not to get excited when pages. Not just normally you get excited as a writer when the pages come in.
Mm-hmm.
But I get excited just talking to them on the phone because they're just so upbeat, and we'd all talk about these characters like we know them.
But you do know them.
Yes, that they became our cast, our guys, our world. Like the Greenwood Inn, it's based off my grandma's house.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
I sent them photograph.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Every summer, my mom's entire side of the family would cram in to what's effectively the Greenwood Inn, to the point where arms and legs were popping out of windows. But that was like where we lived.
I had no idea. That's amazing.
And Anchor Bay is secretly like the way Gotham, or Metropolis or other things.
Right.
Latveria or Syncaria, that Anchor Bay, there is no Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay is Hyannis. It's Hyannis, Massachusetts. That's the Greenwood Inn is the house my grandma used to own. And that and I have like a zillion pictures, and that was like all my childhood summers. So there's a lot like candlestick bowling and all these things that you see that Dawn takes people on tours of, or Dawn knows. That's all, write what you know. And also I have my family, it's me and my older sisters are identical twins. So
wait, you're an identical twin to somebody?
No, my sisters are identical twins to each other.
That's so funny. I have identical twin brothers.
Yay! And you can totally tell them apart, and you go,
of course.
Why does everyone have problems telling them apart?
No, they're totally different.
They're totally different. So that's why Dawn is a twin, because That's my family.
Wow.
I did not intend on being the dad. Mike, you look at early Reg Greenwood, and he does not look like me. And Mike slowly morphed him into me over the course of 29 issues. I hate being inserted into comics. I have had artists try to put me into comics, and I said, don't do that. Or put my name on a billboard, or put my name on a store.
Wait,
and I've said, please don't do that.
You have so much more humility than
Oh, no,
other people.
I have been inserted. I started working at Marvel in like 1990, and people inserted me into comics, and the idea
I'm so sorry, I can't stop laughing. I'm sorry.
No, there are comics with me in the background, and I hate the idea as I've grown old and gotten shorter and fatter and balder and grayer that you can watch me deteriorate as Peter Parker and Steve Rogers, and everyone stays the same. I'm getting decrepit. I don't like it, and I'm just like, keep me out of the Marvel universe.
So you're Dawn, essentially.
I know I'm not even Dawn. I'm the guest you never see on camera. I don't want to be there. Keep me out of the Marvel universe. So by the time it shifted into me, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Because there were 3 stories we knew we were going to hit.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 stories that, like, when Tom and I worked on the Thing, we did 8 issues, but really what it was we did 6 and we were getting canceled, and he let me have 2 issues to wrap everything up.
Okay.
What would have been issue 7 through 12 was our best story. It was a 6-part story. It was godlike. It was like going to be one of the best freaking Thing stories you've ever read, but I wanted to build all the pieces and put them all on the board, and then surprise everyone and do this 6-issue arc that would just pull the rug out from under you and be like, oh my God. And then we got canceled. So I never got to do it. And Tom kept saying, don't make the mistake you made in Thing. Just do the story, get them out. And we had 3 we wanted to hit. And it was the refugee planet of all the Galactus refugees. And that's when Bond would find Surfer's secret that he'd been keeping from her. The Shalabal, like you meet
the Shalabal stuff really pissed me off, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it pissed a lot of people off.
Yes, it did. I wanted
that was the point, right?
Yes, this Darth Vader villain show up and
the point.
These conquistadors going through space and rewriting everyone's culture, and then you were going to find, and it was going to look all Kirby-ish, and then they were going to come to Earth and convert Earth. You were going to find out she was going to lift up the helmet, and it was, oh my God, it's Zenla. Zenla's been doing this, and all those years that Zenla stayed on their own planet, it was to protect everybody else because they thought they were so superior with their Kirby technology. Yeah, and it was going to
Kirby technology.
No, but it was going to be the story of Surfer has to choose Earth or Zenla, and you're going to get that giant splash page of "I stand with Earth,"
which was amazing. It was so amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, that was going to be like this big, so that Surfer stops Earth from turning into Zenla was going to be story 2 we wanted to hit. And story 3 we wanted to hit, and this was before a single plot had been turned in, was the return to Euphoria. We knew we were going to go back to Euphoria because Dawn was going to lose her father because she's been off in space.
I'm glad you're talking about this because this is one of my big questions I have for you. So maybe this is the perfect time for me to ask you.
Okay.
But because that is such a huge thing to say. Remember, so Dawn goes back to Euphoria, and it's like, I love your glass. It's like therapy for her. And my thing, whenever I see anything sci-fi related, I think about it as in the future, as if, what if we did that in the future? Would it be okay? And I had to think. Silver Surfer, in that issue, the couple issues that it spanned, he's like, in small doses it's okay, but we need to wean her off. But really, even though Dawn knows it's not her father, she continues to go back and go back. But really, is that an actual good thing to do to somebody who's gone through so much loss? Is that good for them? Is it bad for them? That's my big question, because honestly, to me, when I was reading it, I was like, I do not like that Dawn's doing this. I do
You
not
should.
like it at all.
Yes. And the fact is, there is something about it that feels bad. Surfer has worries about it.
Yeah,
Dawn
he's
saying,
the
like,
only reasonable person.
Dawn is saying, I need this. I want this. And Surfer feels bad because he's the one who took her off into space. He's the one who took her on these adventures, and her father's gone. He feels responsible. He's her champion. He's
But
the
he
one
also knows
that
that this is wrong.
it's kind of wrong.
You
And
can't prolong grief like
no,
that.
that's issues 12, 13, and 14
Mm-hmm.
are Dawn dealing with grief of losing a loved one. Dawn coming to terms with her own end.
Yeah.
And Surfer now dealing with grief. Living out the entire universe again. It takes him a billion years to come to terms. And it's self-exile. I love that at the beginning of Surfer, one of the gags we were playing was when I was originally pitching this to Tom, I was saying, why does Surfer ever go back to Earth? He was trapped there.
Yeah, exactly.
He was trapped there for 10 years. That should be the place he hates. That should be the place where, like, and he always goes back because Earth is where Captain America and Doctor Strange are, and you need him to go and have these freaking adventures all the time. So he keeps going back and back. If you had the equivalent of a cell you were locked in, you wouldn't want to go back. And even worse, if you were trapped in like a movie theater and they had 12 movies and you've seen them all, like, you don't want to go back.
I think they made that movie. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't want. He knows everything there is to know about Earth. He has cosmic senses, and he was there for 10 years. And then I wanted to, by the end of it, make it. He's cast out from Zenla. Dawn Greenwood has said, "I will be your home," and it's not Earth. It's Dawn. Wherever she
exactly.
is. Yeah, but this is her part of it. Yeah, and in a weird way, like the Greenwood Inn becomes his home, and like this family becomes his home. It means a lot to him when he gets that photo, and he doesn't.
And when he silvers down and he does the, I don't know, the inn outfit.
There's
it's like a toque and like a weird. I don't know what that is. Obviously, I can't dress myself, so I can't expect Noor and Rad to either.
No, but I knew I wanted to come to the point where when he lives through the universe twice,
yeah,
he goes and visits them during Surfer Volume 1, number 1, when they're making the wish.
Oh.
So we come full circle to the wish, and that logically means he's stuck on Earth for 10 more years. And from his point of view, is I've just lived through a millennia, endless billion years. What's 10? Even if I only come back and see them once a summer, because he on some level he can't interfere, he can't change their life. And on some level, it's kind of like where you have a being like Angel in Buffy, where he's lived a million years.
I don't like Angel.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen all of Angel, and I've seen all of Buffy 1,000 times. Don't like Angel. Don't get me wrong. But I totally understand where you're coming from.
No, but like
I totally
he's
get it.
at
I'm not
some
an angel.
at
I'm
some
just
level
letting
he's a
my
being
fans
who's
know.
at some level he's someone who's lived 1,000,000,000 years.
Exactly.
That for him, it's not like she's a baby or 8 years old or 10 years old or 18. She's a flame that won't be bright enough. That won't be till she's the dawn that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
But on some level, it's I'm home.
Yeah.
And he's even if he's building a sandcastle, even if he's in a sack race over there, he's still an outsider, and he's still the guy who's watching suns flare to life and fizzle out, and universes, galaxies rise and fall, and for a moment he watches. For him, it's like 10 quick days, and she's dawn again, and he can't do anything. He watches their adventures, and then he comes full circle. The one time he cheats is to get that recording of Reg. That's the one time he cheats, where he does something. Well, I'm gonna miss this book. There are two beats that we didn't hit because I didn't have room for them in the last issue, and Tom wisely talked me out of them because
why?
No, because there's only so much real estate. There's only so many pages in a comic, and you have to tell the right story. And I had a sequence. I still might do it someday if I ever touch the Surfer again.
Well, you better.
But there's no more Dawn. I'm not going to tell the beats because we can still do them someday.
Right. Okay. Keep them wrapped up then.
I'm gonna keep them wrapped up. But there was 2 Surfer beats that we didn't do, and if I did them in this issue, it would have meant that even Costas would have had a different ending. They would have kept the in, and they would have been working it instead of moving away. Moving away is what they really do.
But can you really have the Costas without?
Yes, that was never Eve's dream. That was never what Eve wanted. And
no, but really, you could. Okay. Continue. Sorry,
Greenwood Inn is gone.
I'm getting all upset because
the time and place of the Greenwood Inn is gone. It'll never. Maybe Reg Greenwood will build a holographic Greenwood Inn.
Okay.
On Incandescent, maybe.
No, that's not fair. Okay, sorry. As a Trekkie, I don't like Incandescent. Incandescent can just shove itself off into the plane of non-existence. I was really upset. That's why it made me cry, because honestly, it doesn't exist in my mind. I'm like, oh, yay, another plane of non-existence. Like, it's not real. So that's how me personally felt.
It's an echo.
I know, but
it's like a song you like hearing.
That's so bittersweet and depressing. You can understand that. Well, of course you wrote it. You understand. I'm like, oh my God, it's so awful. You're horrible.
I am. No, but
with your web of lies.
No, it's like I and then he died.
Shall we take a break?
No. My family has a small cottage on that same beach. But the house my grandma had has been sold twice over. It's gone to different owners. And when I
didn't buy it?
You know how much that house costs?
I have no idea. I wouldn't know.
On the ocean in Hyannis, it's crazy. My parents live in a tiny cottage. That's a huge house.
Where's Hyannis? Is it in New York?
No, Hyannis is Massachusetts.
Oh.
Cape Cod.
Oh, Cape Cod. Okay. Yeah, I live in Nova Scotia. It's different here, but I get it.
but whenever I visit, I walk down that beach, and there is that twinge of sadness when I look at that house and other people are living in it. Life goes on. Things change. I know Surfer was watching stars come to life and stars die, and yet the idea that this family is moving away from a house is still touching.
Well, it's like the only as a kid, I had to grow up and move from house to house and house. I got moved around so often, but my grandparents, they were the one people that I knew that were always in the same spot, and so all growing up, everything has always been centered around them.
And that's then touchstone.
When that ended a huge thing in my head. Like, to this day, I have horrible nightmares because it was gone, I think a lot of people probably like that,
Yeah, I have that feeling too whenever I see that house. Or I think about the house I grew up in when I was a little boy, that other people live there now. Or worse, when you walk through a city and the building you lived in, the apartment you lived in, that building doesn't exist. And you look up and there's a space in the sky where you lived. And it's a space in the sky. It's one of those things. And it's very much, Dawn's father passing away. It's very much Surfer and the house they had on top. It's gone. Ta is gone. There's when he goes out to the breakwater to sit with Dawn, and she's like, you found my mother across the country off of a hair from a brush. Can you show me where in the water? Because she wasn't there.
She wasn't there. That whole situation made me so angry.
She wasn't there when they spread the ashes.
I felt exactly like Dawn.
But you totally understand what Eve is thinking. We never know when Dawn's coming home.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
What do? There's no, we did not do the Doctor Who trick where they give them a cell phone and they can call whenever they want. That was a choice we made really early on. We wanted every time Dawn goes away, every time she comes back, life is moved. Yeah. There's cost. And, and she asked Surfer, where in the water is my dad? And he's like, he's nowhere. He's dissipated. He's gone. But he'll always be in your memory. He lives in the past. You can access that. And in a weird way, that's what Incandescent is. Incandescent is the Surfer version of that it's still a memory. It's in a weird kind of cosmic way. It's a memory that goes on and keeps living. But in his way, it's the same thing as that breakwater. He gets to do things on a cosmic level that Dawn can't. He gets to do things. He gets to mourn for 1 billion years.
And that's basically what he's done to himself by doing that on Incandescent, by putting all these people that he loves there, which is kind of in itself really debilitating, like emotionally.
No, but on some level, it's it's
supposed to be cathartic or something.
Yeah, that a part of him will be happy. A part of him will keep being happy.
Well, because he left a part of himself behind. Does that part of himself keep making him happy? In a way.
In a way, it's like a dream. It's
okay.
It's like he had a full life with Dawn. He used his power cosmic to age a day for every day with her. It was a bit of a cheat, and she called him on it.
I know, and that made me sad too. Don't even get me started. I don't want to start crying about it. I already did.
He for all of his talk, he uses the cosmic power to cheat. Of
course he does. But there's a certain part of Nornrad. I have to just like go over him in history that is very unfeeling. Normally, the Silver Surfer is very unfeeling. He's not very human in any way. He's not human anyway, but he doesn't have human qualities until you brought him to life and he met Dawn, and he becomes more and more human as the series goes on. And this is all the qualities that make him so lovable and that I personally got to love about him.
We have, like, in the Buscema years, you constantly see Surfer with his hand on his forehead, Shalabal! And it's a love that is cosmically screamed and bellowed like an opera. You know, he wouldn't have a moment where they eat some seafood bisque.
But it's not very human, though.
Yeah, no, it's heroic. It's this larger than life thing. The love he had for Shalabal, and he's trapped behind the barrier, and Mephisto playing tricks on him.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I don't think until we did our series, I can't remember ever seeing Surfer laugh. And
no,
we made him laugh a few times.
That one issue where Dawn calls him on laughing.
You get, and it's kind of like at first
she's like,
he does.
Were you laughing?
The first time he laughs is the Toomey joke.
Oh, that's when it is. Okay, yeah. I remember Dawn being like, "Were you just laughing?"
Yeah,
and he's
like he laughs. I
guess I was.
He laughs for the Toomey joke, and sometimes he laughs heroically, like "ha ha," But you get these moments like when he silvers down, and we get to take the piss out of him.
Yeah.
Whether he just ate the seafood bisque and now he feels sleepy, or when he silvers down, he experiences things that he doesn't normally experience, touch and taste and feel. But for me, my favorite part was out of all the silver down sequences, even more than 12, where they fly off together, where he flies into space for the first time as a human.
Oh yeah. Huh.
To me, my favorite beat was the first time on Incandescent, where he's grown the beard and they're just hanging out, and he does. Dawn wants to. They're spending all this time on Euphoria. I'm sorry, I said Incandescent. They're spending all this time on Euphoria, and she's thinking. They're both thinking on some level they're never leaving. And she's like, "Hey, you're an astronomer. Teach me the constellations." And he's like, "I only know the constellations from Earth because the stars change when you look at them from different points."
Oh, wait. No, that happens later.
Yeah. On the first time on Euphoria.
Like,
he goes,
yeah.
Very first I only know patterns from Zen Law and Earth. And she's like, "Let's make up our own."
Yeah,
we'll make up our own constellation.
Yes.
And then he hits that. That's the lazy farmer, and that's the this. That's the the open umbrella. That's the that. And then she goes, "That's the sad crab in a top hat." And that's when he loses it. And that's when he's just like the happiest. And yeah, it's probably Euphoria enhanced, but it's just the stupidest thing. And one of the things I love is that we come back to that solar system a lot. And whenever we do our locator captions, it's the Skiop system, because it's sad crab in a top hat.
Is that why it's called that?
It's Skiop. They named it. They're in the Skiop system. It's sad crab in a top hat. And we screwed it up in one of the solo issues and called it Screap, but then we fixed it in the trade. But
not Scree.
No, because it's not sad crab CR. It's sad crab C in a top hat. So it's the Skiap system, and it's you see it multiple times because they go back to Euphoria and they go back to locator caption, because usually it's some gobbledygook. It's usually like the Chiron cluster, the this, and they keep going back to the Skiap system because it's sad crab in a top hat. That's where they are.
I think right there we need to take a quick break